It is a new day in Florida, at least according to the laws of the state. More than 100 new laws are now in effect across the state of Florida. Some of those include an increase in teacher pay. Teachers will now start out making $47,500 a year. High school officials now have to monitor student athletes' heat stroke risk and make sure there is an AED at all games. And here's a big one. The governor signed a controversial bill requiring parental consent for abortions. On your side's Ann Schindler gives us the legal lowdown on this.
112 new bills will change the legal landscape and the physical one, approving the use of drones to hunt invasive pythons, increasing penalties for killing black bears, and prohibiting breeding or owning iguanas. Coastal projects on public land must now consider sea level rise before being built, and leaky sewage systems, be they municipal or septic, face stiffer fines. Governor Ron DeSantis also signed a bill that requires minors to get parental consent for abortions, expanding on a 2004 law that required parental notification. Women undergoing surgery must now sign explicit consent for pelvic exams, which are sometimes used for training purposes. And fertility doctors are barred from inseminating women using their own reproductive material. And a new bill removes the statute of limitations on child sex abuse if the victims are younger than 18 at the time the crime occurred. The law only applies to offenses committed on or after July 1st. Finally, changes to the educational landscape. A dramatic expansion of the state's voucher system more than doubles the Family Empowerment Scholarship, which uses state money to pay for private school tuition. And Florida students will now be taught about the 1920 Ocoee Massacre, in which a white mob slaughtered an untold number of black people for trying to vote. The original bill included reparations for families displaced from their land, now just a 20-minute drive from Disney, but that part of the bill was removed. Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on your side.